and we're gonna make noise. We're making noise. It's Friday. We had a couple weeks off, but we're back. How you doing? Oh my God, we've been talking for like 10 minutes already. I'm over here pretending, how you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Oh my God, you changed and you're
barb
and you're looking so beautiful and you're still forward looking. We're going to talk politics today with your t-shirt or what?
You want to? You know, so this is from the Forward Party. It's the Andrew Yang one that he started. I just like the message a lot. I bought it for the message more than anything because it's like, hey, like, can we just like think forward? Can we move forward together, kind of thing? But yeah, I actually get a lot of compliments on this shirt everywhere I go, and people are like, "Where'd you get that from?" Yeah, it's
I like it. Yeah. I like the message. I don't no idea what they're going to do for 2024 yet, but I think this is going to be so interesting, the politics. But I can't believe we probably end up with the same two candidates than last time.
Crazy.
I mean, can you believe this? I mean,
no.
The two together, they're as old as the whole Twitter Tesla community together, right?
They're as old as the United States.
It is crazy.
Pretty close. Yeah.
It is crazy and so divisive, both of them. Yeah. And so,
you would think that the country would have learned its lesson, you know? Like, it's not even about left or right for me. It's like we have two guys that are not in touch with what's going on. You layer in all the stuff that's happening now with the advancements in AI. You have these policies that are super just backwards looking. They're not really forward looking. You have two guys that I just don't think are really innovative, like innovative thinkers. I would say Trump is probably more innovative than Biden, but they're both still, you know, and I hate to say that that's because they're old, but I think something has to do with their age. Like at some point, you're just not going to be as nimble as your younger counterparts.
I mean,
you know?
I'm for neither of the two, but I mean, obviously, Biden, you just wonder whether he actually finishes his term, and then him thinking he can add another 4 years. You're just like, we have nothing better to present. I mean, is that the best Democrat candidate that's out there? And I just wish we would have somebody, you know. I was still in Europe, but Obama in 2008 really inspired me. I found, you know, there was something young about him. There was something, we can do this. And it really gave me a certain hope. And then obviously, as you know, in Europe, the whole political scene, the political center in Europe is much more left than it is in the US. So it was easy to identify as a European with Obama. Obviously, I couldn't vote, and I'm not sure I would have voted for him, but the persona brought with him a certain energy, a certain hope, a certain vision. And you just feel like, oh my God, if it's Trump, it's like, oh my God, I have to clean up. We're going to rehash 2020 elections. We're going to conflict after conflict. And every day we'll have to check out what he's published on Truth Social now and whatever, right? And so it's really sad that they're starting so early to lock in both primaries, because that means the Democrats won't have a primary, right? I guess. And Trump is so far ahead in the polls on the right. I mean, the last one I heard last night, he was at 62% and DeSantis was at 16%.
Yep.
And that's the only two people out there. Yeah. And you're like, and then I'm not sure I'm on DeSantis, but in that choice of the two, I think I prefer DeSantis. So you're like, my gosh, what has to happen? Because that's an earthquake that's needed to change that, right? I mean, Trump can obviously put himself on fire. That's still an option. But wow. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing too is that neither of them are gonna debate, right? Like Biden, usually there's a tradition with the primaries that the incumbent doesn't debate the runners, right? So I think on the Democratic side you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you have Marianne Williamson, you might have other people running as well, and then on the Republican side is wide open. But Trump, I don't think is going to debate because he ran for president, and Biden's not going to debate because he is the president. So it's like now we're going to have like these two guys going face to face without even debating the rest of the field. So it's like, okay, like what is this? what is this?
Exactly, and so here we are. Spoonfed isn't that funny? We had that word earlier. Spoonfed two candidates that nobody vetted or whatever, that I doubt will bring new ideas. I mean, we know Trump's ideas, we know Biden's. From a political and the international policies standpoint, I always loved Trump's policies. Honestly, I have to say that. I think his economic policies were spot on. I loved what he did with the Middle East. I think that peace in the world was more secure in those times, no matter what US media told us about it, but there was no war going on, than the current situation where I just think inflation is not managed. And Biden did a couple of good things. I think his IRA and the whole EV approach is obviously much better than what the right can do. But there, from policy, I'm much more leaning on Trump. But the persona, I hear Americans, or even I hear my husband going, well, you get the persona, but you have, you want that, you get the persona with it. And I'm like, okay, I could do without the persona. So I was really looking forward to a change in generation. And that brings me actually to this week's news with Tucker Carlson, because I think that is actually a small earthquake in the political right sphere, because he was the key anchor on Fox, which is still important for the right-wing votes, and him becoming a loose cannon, and a very intelligent loose cannon. Watch out. I could see him very well becoming VP or even running independent. And this may be actually the year finally that everybody's so fed up that independents have a chance. That intelligent independents coming up with a good centrist program, fiscally responsible, but socially more on the left and more open, which we need. What the heck? We can't have all these stupid abortion and trans and whatever discussions when there's so much more to be done, right? I so hate it when the right is so focalized on 2 or 3 stubborn subjects on which nothing will happen anyway, and whatever. So enough of my rant, but I really hope, because it will be the first year that I can vote.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully we'll get you some good candidates. Yeah. It's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. I think sometimes there's sometimes folks will be afraid to kind of talk about it, the state of sort of the politics that we have now, but that sort of perpetuates the system, right? When people are like, well, I don't want to get into this because it's so controversial and divisive and it's such a waste of time. It's impossible to fix it. I'm like, well, that sort of mentality is exactly what renders this, right?
Exactly.
So we need to sit down and actually. Yeah,
exactly. And we need to, and that's the same, and that brings me actually to the second subject, but just a second. It's the same when people tell me, oh, Alexandra, you're so good on Tesla, please don't talk politics. Well, I'm sorry, politics determine also Tesla, and Tesla also determines politics. Yep. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is I try to separate it. I do it with you on the noisemakers because, our motto is not, we'll talk a little bit Tesla when there's a good subject, but this is not our 1 hour Tesla week. Exactly. And the other thing is, America really lacks of communication between these two poles. It is enough that you would say, I like Trump's economic policies or international policies, that half America hates you. That is enough, The simple fact that you've spelled out the 5 letters in one word is enough to hate you. And what is that? You must be joking. I can say as much good things about Biden than I can say about bad things about Trump and vice versa. And we should just discuss on the matter, who is really better and what is really priority today. And that is something that is so badly missing. And so I've decided, and that's actually funny because it just got live, that I do a subscriber section in my Twitter feed, but I reserve that actually for everything that's not Tesla. So everything that's Tesla and finance will remain free because, my goal is not to monetize neither on YouTube, nor on Patreon, nor on Twitter. But I think that this subscriber thing is actually very, very practical to separate information that most people don't want or actually hate me for saying it, right? My food pictures and my life hacks and my pictures of my children. Exactly. Me just being Alexandra, I'm not Tesla Boomer Mama. So Tesla Boomer Mama will remain free. But those that pay, and I put it at the lowest level, which is $1. So for those that, want to participate with me in these in these subjects, well, they'll find it in the subscriber section, but all the others when I don't expect many to do that, but all the others won't have to watch through this anymore because obviously I'm creating more conflict than I want to.
Well, I mean, that's fascinating because I feel like, do you think we've entered an age, especially now with so you talked about the small earthquake with Tucker, about, he went on Twitter, he broke his silence on Twitter, and that thing got like tens of millions of views, way more than what he usually gets on Fox.
Yeah.
And there's like this, I feel like there's this movement towards sort of, there's a little bit more acceptance for nuanced positions a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yes.
I
hope so. And I hope I'm helping a little bit to bring that forward. I mean, there's still a lot of people that are without any compromise on either extreme. I wouldn't even say they're extreme left or extreme right. I'm not sure, but they're just
boxed in.
Paywalled in there. This is it, right? They're not getting out of it. And then there are sort of a couple of people that start talking. And the thing is, I think many people are very disappointed about what was before centrist America. They understood, there was lots of lobbying and lots of hand washing going on and all that. So they don't want to go back to moderate Democrats or moderate Republicans. They want to go back to down to earth politics, forward, like you said, forward politics. So they're very suspicious of the moderate wing of the right. There are lots of people on the left that are very suspicious of the establishment left, the Hillary Clintons and this world. So there is a need for something else. And I do believe the Joe Rogans, the Tucker Carlsons and whatever, maybe even the Shapiros of this world, who is for the right, but much more open to dialogue, these people will shape 2024. 2024, yes. Yeah. But the two candidates don't correspond to that movement. Exactly. And that's why I do believe maybe there is just, somebody hopefully appearing that can bring it, but it has to be somebody very charismatic who breaks all these stiff barriers that both camps have really built around them. I mean, it's so closed in. It's horrible. I mean, these people don't even talk to each other. It's actually happening from time to time on my Twitter feed because I say something that appears neutral to me, and then the left or the right will jump around. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
I've noticed that myself, but I have noticed a little bit more. Maybe I'm just getting more comfortable with the blowback or the sort of like people losing their minds. But I have noticed folks gravitating more towards the nuance. And if I just use my Twitter account as an example, I'm not, I definitely cover Tesla, but I oftentimes will say things that are, that are more personal, that are maybe politically driven or whatever. And I've noticed that that's actually driven, and I'm not trying to grow the account, but those kind of commentary grows at the most usually. When I put stuff out like there, right. But because I try to be, I think everybody's just the majority of the population is nuanced, and the majority of the population I think has a mixture of all. Yeah, but they're silent, exactly. Yeah. But I think when those folks hear something that is that resonates with them in that nuanced perspective, they'll view those folks and be like, wow, well, that person's saying it. Maybe I feel comfortable saying it too. And there's got to be like a threshold that once we cross, everybody should feel comfortable saying it. And I'm hoping,
but it needs a candidate. It needs a persona.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say something that I'll get a lot of heat for again. I actually agree with 95% of political statements from Elon. The only ones where I get a bit upset, I think he's very harsh on transgender, and maybe because of his personal experience. But on all the others, I understand him. And then I can't believe it because people think what he says is MAGA. It's not. It's just, it's not. It's just not. There's nothing about it. And so when I look at that, I'm like going, why would that be now? Ross Gerber thinks that Elon is now a right-wing extremist. It is not. He is probably now real center, maybe even a little bit right of center, but this is not what it is. So you're right. The vocals, they're screaming in any case. But there is a real hope in me that this Twitter purchase and Elon being so political and taking the heat for it is actually helping this hopeful candidate to emerge.
Yeah.
And the 2024 election will be won or lost on Twitter, not on Truth Social, not on Fox News, not on MSNBC anymore.
Yeah.
It's on Twitter that they will be won or lost. I can tell you that.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you bring that up. I think the Elon's sort of rhetoric on Twitter since the purchase of just him being much more open about where he stands politically, socially, all this stuff. The more I think about it, the more it aligns very much with how he runs his businesses, which is leading from the front. So if I think about SpaceX, he's the guy in the designing the rockets and making sure that the production line gets done. With Tesla, he's the guy that's in the factory, sleeping there, making sure that all the systems go up.
Yeah.
And then on Twitter with free speech and making sure everybody has a voice, he's the one saying, look at me, I'm one of the richest people in the world and I get scrutinized with everything and I'm tied to every regulation possibly created in mankind, but I'm still going to come out and say what I feel, what is true to me. So once I view it through that lens, I'm like, okay, wow. So I think this actually starting to make sense now. Whereas before I'm like, okay, is he trying to like cater more to the Republican side? My dogs are very excited about Elon, like him doing this for sure. But I wonder how much of it is that. I wonder how much of it is just him leading from the front, and just saying like, I'm doing it.
Completely agree. I think he does. And I also think he's very smart and knows that politics on Twitter will bring him so much more. There you go. So much more interaction, revenue. So much more advertising, because that's where it's happening, right? Where else do you think we're going to talk politics on Facebook? You're going to be joking. Instagram, whatever, Pinterest, whatever, right? So there's just nothing comparable. There's not. And all the stuff that they try to blow up last minute is too late. And I actually do believe that Trump is going to come back as well. And that's going to be the battle of the giants, right? Can you imagine? And you know what's happening? Trump, like Elon, manages his own Twitter account, so we'll have one scandalous tweet per day at least. And Biden, everything is curated, everything is his. And
everything is community noted.
Exactly. So can you imagine what's going to come the next 12 to 18 months? It's going to be crazy. I'm going to love it. I really love it.
It's going to be entertainment central, which is so crazy that politics has turned into such an entertaining thing. But it's bringing a lot of eyes on it. I think maybe that's the key thing here. But a lot to talk about. What do you want to hit? What do you want to hit?
I want to talk first about you doing that video with your parents. I found that absolutely touching. I had to go through the whole hour. I loved it when the car wasn't doing what you're supposed, and you really tried to not panic. I love that. I loved everything about it. I found your parents were very, credible and knowledgeable without trying to, impress anybody. They were just communicating their true thoughts and open about it. So I absolutely loved it. I loved their reactions, and it made me immediately think that I really hope Elon and Tesla are watching this, because they have to understand, and I know this is complicated when you're a high-level engineer, that they're wonderful. They're the top 10% of people thinking. They're moving the world. They're making everything better for us. But there are 90% of people out there that at different layers don't get what they are supposed to do now with this information, and how they should approach a purchase of a Tesla, and whether that's the right car for them and whatever. And it makes me understand, with two absolutely charming people, that even if you have a year of a Tesla, you still don't know everything, and you have actually an opinion whether you want it smaller, bigger, doing FSD, not doing FSD. So the link between Tesla and its end users prior to purchase, but also after purchase, is very much reduced to information and data collection, but so little on hearing them and communicating to them, right? And I'm not saying this, the only means should be advertising. I'm not even hooked really on advertising, but I do believe the whole understanding of their clients, of their future clients, and how to address that is currently done in a too sterile engineering way, and not enough in a humanly possible way. Yeah.
That's interesting you say that. I think it's definitely super unorthodox, and it's very automated, right? It's like very future. it's just very much relied upon the relationship between the person and the object, which for me, I love. I absolutely for me personally, that is one of the charms of the company, that I can go buy the car and I don't got to talk to nobody, and I can just pick up my car and I can just launch off the lot and then I can go into my house and just drool over everything that the car has, right? But not everybody's like that. And I'm starting to realize that more and more. I think that the biggest challenge is going to be, because I'm trying to view this from the perspective of the company and figuring out, okay, how can this be something that they would take on? It's going to be, I think it's hard for them to see that, because if you look at the Q1 results for EV sales, the number one and two best selling cars by far, not even close. There was a chart that James Stevenson shared, the Model Y and the Model 3. And I think it's pretty much those two. It's more than everybody else combined times 4 or something insane like that, some crazy metric. So when they see that, knowing that they're the engineering types and very data driven, they're like, okay, great, but people are still buying our cars like way more than anybody else.
Exactly.
Why should we pay attention? Why should we pay attention?
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. And that's exactly it. And the thing is, I think lots of men can relate to you, far that all you want is your relationship between you and your car. You don't want a call, you don't want to be bothered, you don't want an email, you don't want somebody explaining it to you, because you get it, right? You learned it, and you learned it by yourself. You loved the learning curve, and that was it. I would put to that, half the world is women, and there are hardly any women out there that are like that. Yes, now that I know my Tesla, I don't want to be bothered, but for a long time, I would have loved. Or for example, I'm really looking forward to somebody showing me how FSD works. I mean, I had it for a month. I couldn't deal with it, but I would have, it would have been great if Tesla had videos on it, or if I could have gone to the showroom and somebody would have sat down half an hour with me, and it just doesn't exist, right? That's not the service that's proposed. So I think women have a different approach to a car than men. So already you're leaving more or less half of the population out there just because you're stuck in your very high level, very intelligent, very optimized, very profitable way of dealing with that. And I think they have perfectioned the profitability of their communication in terms of, that's how much we give, that's how much data we need back. And the client should be able to do it with that. But that is missing the human element to it, and especially the female element in it. And then I just, no mansplaining, don't you start, Ethan. I saw that comment with the bottom of my eye.
That's funny. No, yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I can see that. I just wonder, knowing the DNA of the company and just how that's like not at all how they operate or think. I wonder if that's ever going to be something that the company actually takes on truly and actually prioritizes it. And if they do, and if they do choose to go down that route, I wonder what sort of different way they would accomplish that is like sort of different from, how your GM or Fords or whatever, how they would do it. And they have a dealership network that they can leverage to be able to do that, right? That's one of the benefits of those car makers. But I think we've also seen that if the product itself is, even if it's like 80% as good as the Tesla, like let's say the Hyundai Ioniq 5 or the Kia EV6 or even the Ford Mustang Mach-E, theoretically, if you remove full self-driving, those cars are kind of, they're far away. But they're comparable, right?
Yeah.
But everything else is better with the Tesla, but they're comparable at least. Yeah. But those car companies have all kinds of infrastructure around that, the TLC, but those cars barely sell, right? So that's why I'm like, okay, like I definitely hear it, but it's like it's hard to prove with data. That's the problem. It's hard to prove with data.
It's hard to prove with data, and it's also true that by ignoring that. By ignoring the lecturing, I don't even find the right word for it, but taking your client by the hand.
Education. Yeah.
Right. But it's also the delivery. My son was working at Tesla Santa Barbara, delivering hundreds of cars. They couldn't care less, right? 10, 15 minutes. If after 15 minutes you haven't got it, well, leave with the car and you're going to learn by yourself. That's what they're told, right? I mean, exaggerating a little bit, but that's it. So, but it is. But it is also true that you actually learn by doing. You do. It's not as if you are, I mean, you probably have the fear of your life if for the first time you sit in an EV and after 10 minutes somebody tells you, well, you can drive off now and goodbye. But 2 hours later, you'll be more comfortable with the car. And I think the learning curve is extreme. I just wonder how many clients you actually don't reach just because they don't even get into the butt in the car and have to learn. Just because they say, well, this is not for me. And they get influenced a lot, especially actually from right-wing media, on, batteries cost $20,000 and they don't drive in the snow and they don't do this and they don't do that. I mean, it's incredible. You can actually measure, I don't watch much TV, but when the last lobbying of the OEMs has made their payment again, because for a week you hear all this crap again, right? And then dies down for a couple of months and there it comes again. But and then there is just a difference. And that brings me actually to the next subject I wanted to ask you. So do you celebrate in your family still Mother's Day?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, hey, happy Mother's Day. Here's something. It's like very like just I wonder why you bring up this topic.
No, but we don't do.
You don't do it. Okay.
No, because I declared it's 365 Mother's Day, so that's okay.
Smart. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But I wanted to bring this up because there was a discussion yesterday on Twitter that I read, and I just found that absolutely hilarious, where somebody proposed as a Mother's Day gift a card game to play between husband and wife. I mean, I sent it to you, so I know why you're already laughing. About the chores in a couple, right? Who does the dishes? Who does whatever? So this is an American company in LA that has brought up this. I think it's called Fair Play game or something like that, a card game. And
the game.
Yeah, and I just thought, this is it. This is my 2023 we can't get worse moment. Just because I couldn't believe that the good advice was to buy this for your mother. So at Mother's Day, you would sit down with your mom and say, look, this is the cards. Now you're going to play with daddy and you're going to decide who is going to do the next dishes and who is going to, so that your chores in the couple are evenly divided. And I was, so if you can find it, it's fine. If you can't, it's not. There you go. Yeah, that's exactly it. So these are cards.
The Fair Play book delivers a time and anxiety-saving system that offers couples a completely new way to divvy up their domestic responsibilities. And you should give this to your partner for Mother's Day.
Exactly. Or to your mom or whatever. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, and then so this is actually a Tesla Q member of our community who advocated for this. And I don't want to name him because I don't want to shame him. But I mean, it's just so horrible if Mother's Day is diverted to now spur fair dishwashing. Actually, where's the dream in this life, right? Where's the spark? Where's whatever? So I wanted to bring this up, and I love it.
I mean, when you sent me that thing, I was like, we were having a discussion. I'm like, dude, this is wild. It's actually kind of wild that, I get the concept of the game. Like No, you don't get it.
Cards. I mean, do you need cards to discuss with your wife that, come on, you can do the dishes today, or how about you do the courses, the shopping next time?
It's almost like, do you think maybe it's just gamified therapy almost, like gamified therapy?
Well, then
That's basically what it is.
Then it is as bad in LA than I think it is. Because, I mean, I just can't believe you would be in a couple and need cards to talk to the love of your life about whether you feel you're doing a bit too much and the other maybe should do a little bit more. I mean, where are we?
But think about the state of America, right? I mean, 50% of marriages don't end up and end up in divorce. So to me, that tells me that there is a significant percentage of relationships become strained after some time. So I wonder.
I tell you, playing cards, that rate is going to go to 60.
It will shorten. Yeah, it will make it worse. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Maybe it's a divorce lawyer who set it up. Maybe the divorce lawyer thought this is it.
Yeah. Let's just end it here. I'm actually saving you money by presenting this game for you, kind of thing.
And then you can come here, get a referral fee.
Yeah, that's where I feel so freaking incredibly lucky, because it's like it's hard for me to sort of relate to that, and I think it's just because I'm extremely lucky. I've had relationships, before my wife, where I've dated different women, and they didn't end up well because of it was always communication related, right? And so like the biggest lesson that it taught me is that communication is by far the most important thing in a relationship. Like, it's so freaking important. And it's I'm not a crazy experienced, I've been together with my wife for almost 9 years now, so it's not like I've seen, I know what it takes to have a healthy relationship, and communication is so brutally important. So part of me says, okay, so maybe like things that are out there that help communication might be a good thing, but it doesn't seem like this is like, I feel like this would make it worse, because it's like, hey, honey, like this game tells you to go wash the dishes today, and you're probably like, shut the fuck up. How about you do it?
Well, can you imagine? So you play the first time the game, fine, and then what do you do with the cards? And so when your partner 3 days later gets the cards out, you're already like, oh my God, here we go again.
Yeah. Exactly.
In soccer, right? When you yellow card,
you get the red card. You just immediately red card. You're out. Gone. Goodbye. Yeah, it's wild. And then it's the fact that it came from that individual was also a different thing.
Because he is on my back day and night telling me that I shouldn't invest in Tesla, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. And here we go.
Yeah,
but giving me good advice.
He might benefit from some advice for his other things, but it's okay.
Yeah, and then I think the point where I laughed so much I nearly peed on myself was I think the 4 or 5 tweets later he says, I'm advising that because my wife is a lawyer, and I said, you bet.
Yeah. There you go. And the truth comes forward. My God.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There we go.
Crazy stuff. Yeah. There was other things too. There was one topic that I actually read. That monetization of Twitter was one that kind of piqued my interest. Was something that I've been thinking about a little bit. Did you want to do another one, or is that okay? You want to hit?
No, I think we should talk about monetization of Twitter, because you have had now your subscriber account for a while. How is it going?
Yeah, it's going good. Let me see how many I have. 51. 51.
Okay. And you charge what, $3, $5? What have you decided?
53. Yeah, $3 a month. Yeah, $3 a month. I think I like it. I like the subscription format. I think where the toughest thing about subscriptions is trying to, like, for people to part way with their hard-earned money. You're gonna have to really provide. Okay, for people to part ways with their hard-earned money, so that the person that's receiving the payments has a living, like a wage that actually supports them, you're going to have to provide so much value, so much more value than say doing advertising or doing YouTube videos, right? So if I take my earnings from YouTube videos and I put it, say, within the context of Twitter, and I just started my Twitter subscriptions, right? YouTube videos are going to earn me orders of magnitude more, probably significantly more than that over time, unless I figure out how to make my subscriptions geared in a way that it's that's where most of my value comes from, right? But for me, it's like, if I'm somebody who wants to really try my best to make as much of my content available to everybody, and then like the ad revenue sort of gives me that incentive, like we talked about in the previous video, to continue doing as much as I can, so that I can pay my media guy more, so we can come out with really cool ideas and make bigger and better things, so we can give more share to the community forum, so they can go out and invest in the things that they want to invest in for the community. So it's like the incentive structure is very different, whereas subscriptions, it's very difficult to have that same sort of carrot, like that amount, if that's a driving force. But I do like that it exists, because it sort of lays out the foundation for the future economy in a way. Because I really do think as AI kicks in, and as automation kicks in, as robotics kick in, I think the individual is going to become its own corporation over time. And I think having a platform like Twitter that allows an individual to make money doing whatever, Like, right? Like you can do on Twitter, you can do, you're sending out tweets and whatever, but you can post videos, you can give advice, you can have DMs, you can have spaces. So it's kind of open, but it's digital. But it at least gives you a foundation that says, hey, for that next stage of the economy, this could be like the first place where we can exchange value. And then with Twitter becoming a sort of a financial platform that Elon wants it to become long term, then you have sort of the basis of a way of exchanging value for products and services. And I think that's where I get really excited about Twitter long term, is that sort of that foundation is laid.
Yeah,
what do you think about it?
Well, I find the Twitter business model for creators brutal, because you ask your subscriber to purchase into this exclusive elite group of subscribers. They don't even know yet what they really get for it, right? And some of them, because I have been subscribing to Omar, to Sawyer, and whatever, and most of them didn't really do much until now that the space is there, and they get a little bit more into the rhythm of doing specific. And I did it just because I wanted to show support. I think Sawyer at one point said he had a couple of $100 per month expenses to subscribe to all these news wires that he then breaks the news. And I think Omar is spending just endless hours doing his FSD videos, which is to the benefit of us also. That's how I show my support. I do the same on Patreon. I do the same whenever I can. I have the means to do it, so I want to help wherever I can. So, but I mean, I'm financially more independent and luckier and older and whatever, and more generous. So that's that. But asking money from somebody, $3 a month, and on top of it, those Twitter receipts, they come always by email, right? You can't forget that you've paid them. Every month they remind you. Every other subscription, you never hear about it anymore, so you're not tempted to unsubscribe. So I find that business model brutal to the purchaser, because he pays upfront and he should get something for it. And I mean, your viewers on YouTube, they get so much information for free. Well, it's not for free. We know darn well, if nothing's for free, you're the product in the end. But they either have to listen to ads or they have to subscribe to YouTube Premium, and then you get your cut of it. But it's smooth, right? It's not every time they watch you, they're not thinking, "Oh God, I'm paying for Farzad," because they're paying for their time. Exactly. They're paying for their time, but they're paying for their time for something they find interesting, because if not, they log out. And so the Twitter model, I find at the moment still very rough. And then at the same time, like I said earlier, I found this ruse, or whatever this means, to actually separate, because like few others, I really mix my personal stuff with my Tesla stuff, right? I thought, okay, fair enough. Let's just do that and put it at the lowest thing. And I do that actually more for Twitter and Elon, thinking, let's all have subscribers. But then if I push that thought further, I mean, can you imagine somebody who wants to make sure he has everything from you, he has everything from me, he has everything from Omar, he has everything from Sawyer? Exactly. This is getting real money. Buck here, buck there is one thing, but there's really something. So maybe Twitter should think about pooling creators of the same nature, where they see the same people are interested, and instead of having these different prices, just have a pooled account of all Tesla fanatics, and then you get all the subscribers, and you pay one time $10 a month, and then but then you get all the access. Because I just feel for all these people who now suddenly feel like, okay, I only see half the news now, or the real breaking news, or I can't get to this space, or it creates more frustration than I would have hoped for. And on YouTube, it's just smoother. You, the viewer, are the one deciding what you want to see when. And in the case of these Twitter subscriptions, you're either in or out.
Yeah, no, those are great points. I do think, though, that I like the merit-driven sort of approach to it, where if you create an incentive for a creator to earn a living on Twitter by having subscriptions, in theory, those that really create a lot of value will earn the most over time, and if it has an outsized impact versus the rest of the creator base, right? So it's like, if you're a person who's not really providing a lot of value and you have a subscription, thing on, like what's the reason for people to subscribe to you, right? So it's like really it. But the problem there is that very few will win. Like, very few will actually earn a living from that. So it's like what can an individual do to really truly earn a living with subscriptions? And that's where right now with the options that Twitter offers, it's super, super limited. That's why I think it's more foundational. I think this is very Tesla in the approach. Is like, just get the feature out there, roll it out. The people that are going to be able to make something great out of it, they'll figure out how to make something out of it. I think the way they're looking at it is we have 250 million people that work for Twitter basically by creating content, and then allow them to make money. And then the ones that really excel at it will make a ton of money. And then, that might be a very small percentage of the user base. It's going to be probably 10 people, to be completely honest, maybe 100. And then, let those people go, and then over time we'll add the financial services, we'll add the shopping, we'll add the like a better video.
But you don't think it will ever become that videos like YouTube will remunerate video creators, even though it's not within the subscriber base?
I think you'll also have that too. Yeah. Okay. But I think what's interesting about the subscription though is that I think Twitter has an opportunity to really allow the individual to be the corporation or the business where they can offer anything. And that's where I think Twitter, like right now, it's just tweets and threads and video and spaces and maybe DMs. They'll probably put DMs behind a subscription paywall at some point, I would guess. But it's gonna evolve over time. It's gonna be more services and that are all digital, especially. Yeah, I think it's the start of something much, 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 much bigger, like super, super, super huge. But this is the foundational level for people to capitalize on it. Especially when Elon talks about the Everything app. When I hear Everything app, I hear everything. So like Farzad Mesbahi, the brand, I could be making tweets, I could be making videos, I could also be hosting spaces to coach people on how to be leaders. I could be coaching people on how to create YouTube videos. I could be providing different services. I could make my DMs open for people to ask questions, sell my merch. I don't know, like all kinds of crazy stuff, right? And I think that's where it becomes really, really cool over time, that it's not just a singular platform. Like on YouTube, for example, when you join on YouTube, you just get more videos. But it's Twitter, you can technically do a lot more over time if it really does become
I just think if everything becomes purchasable, I don't find a better word for it, but for the user, it becomes very quickly expensive. Your experience
I hear that.
On Netflix or on YouTube is limited to whatever money per month. But if suddenly your desire to have close insight to 50 people, which is not a lot, costs you $150 per month, that is not competitive with all the other prices. I'm not saying that Twitter is at the level of Netflix, because it's not. I think Twitter is much better because we make Twitter much better, right? It's all our interaction and our discussions, but it's I don't know. I'm not sure it's at the point yet where people are gonna be able to be as generous as everybody hopes.
100%. You know who is going to benefit the most? It's going to benefit the most. Like this is where it's powerful. It's for people that live in countries where $1 goes a really long way. And all they need is 100 subscribers in, say, like Thailand or Singapore, and all of a sudden they could have a month's pay. That's where it's super powerful.
For sure, not in Santa Barbara.
Definitely. If you do not make a Twitter subscription account, if you're in Santa Barbara, if you're trying to pay for your rent, maybe make 100 accounts and just pretend you're 100 different ones. No, I hear you. It's kind of like the cable model, right? You sign up for cable and you get a bunch of different channels and you pay $60 a month. Or YouTube Premium, you can watch, like you said, everybody ad free, and it's $10 a month or whatever that is. Versus buying HBO Max, ESPN Plus, Paramount Plus, and some other ones, and all of a sudden you're at $40 already. You only have 4 options.
Exactly, right? and do remember when Elon started, and I can completely understand if his stance changed, because obviously Twitter was not what he expected. But his initial week or month, he said, we're going to make sure that creators on Twitter are paid more than on YouTube. That didn't say we're going to make sure that the user of Twitter pays more to the creators, right?
Yeah.
There was Twitter that was supposed to do that. Now Twitter costs money if you want to have the blue check mark, which I'm all fine with. But so Twitter gets this money machine, right? Twitter's having income, but the creators have to get supplementary income, right? So where is this share better than YouTube? Where did that idea go, right? Is it gone?
Yeah, I mean, I think when he says more, I think he says as a percentage of the revenue that Twitter is going to give to the creator. Share.
Yeah,
I think
but there's
that's
nothing yet,
net
right?
dollars. Right.
Well, we agree at the moment there's no share, no anything.
Yeah. Not yet. I think it will come. I think he said something about ads being shown on the replies of a tweet are going to be shared. Their revenue is going to be shared with creators over time. But I'm just curious to see how much that's going to be. Like, I have, but here's the deal: that Twitter has such insane reach, and this is as a percentage of the user base. Even they only have say 250 million users versus Facebook's 2 million or whatever the hell that number is. The engagement of those individuals is insane. Yeah. My one tweet about the Ford Mustang Mach-E having an issue, it had like 1.6 million views.
Yeah.
I've never had anything. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that has power.
Yeah, and like I said to you before, the 2024 elections will be decided on Twitter. Yes. If Trump comes back, or even Tucker, if Tucker does a subscription model, there will be hundreds of thousands of people paying him on Twitter to have more insight than the normal person, right? And they will play with that. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. I do think this is just the beginning, though. I think in like 2 to 3 years' time, the subscription model on Twitter is going to be very different. It's going to be much more like all-encompassing versus just like this sort of weird, wide open thing, which on its own is super valuable too, because it does really, every individual they can decide what to offer, and that's kind of beautiful in a sense, and it allows for a lot of innovation. But I think over time, for it to really be a place for people to be able to make money, like a YouTube type thing, they're going to have to figure out how to make it more accessible and more profitable for the individual and more affordable for the user, to your point.
Exactly.
So they actually have an incentive.
Exactly. Yeah. If the user has to pay individual for all of that, at one moment the user is just going to log out and say, that's it, I can't do it.
For sure. Yeah. What other topic you want to hit? What else do you want to hit?
The one thing I wondered this morning, because I was doing laundry, is, are you as badly educated as my children are to put the socks inside out in the laundry?
Well, mine are. When I saw that, I gave it the emoji.
That was on my list.
I don't do laundry that much in the house. That's usually something producer wife takes on.
Oh my God, that card game.
Oh, the last time I did my laundry, so I give myself props for that. No, I would say I never struggle with that. You know why? Because my clothes are always in the right way. I never when they go into the bin, when they're dirty, the socks are always right side out. Yeah, the shirt is always right side out. Yeah. I think I'm a little OCD.
Your mom did something right, I have to say, and I didn't.
I think I'm just crazy.
Well, maybe that's it, because when I do laundry, I have my beautiful red nails. I'm very proud of my nails, and then I have to go into the stiff socks, right, and make them. And I just hate it. I'm like, this is the biggest problem of my life, which shows that I have not many problems in my life. I have to ask Farzad what he's doing with his socks, right?
No, so they're always going the right way.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah. Which is weird, because I'm not OCD with a lot of things, but I think when it comes to laundry, but here's the thing, I might be misremembering. So what we need to do is, when you're coming down for the shareholder meeting, right?
That's it. Yeah. That's another point.
You need to ask producer wife, and be like, hey, is this moron right? And then she'll tell you, what the hell is he talking about? He's full of shit.
And I will make it known if you're telling me
that's fine. Your investigative work is top tier, and if my sock truth comes out, I'm not going to be very upset. I'd rather that come out than.
So yes, I'm coming down to Austin. Since you're part of the Tesla Club in Austin, are you doing the Clive again? Is there something happening, or is it not decided
this
yet?
Time around, I'm not gonna I'm not really affiliated with the club. They just asked me to do stuff, and I'm more than happy to do it.
That's clever. They're very clever.
Yeah, they are very clever. Yeah, they're very, very smart. No, I'm more than happy to do that. It's fun for me. But I think this time around, I'm actually going to make it a point to just enjoy, because it's my first event that I got invited to after, since I left the company. I went as a +1 with one of my friends to the Gigafactory opening, which was awesome. But this is like the first one where I'm actually invited to, and I'm bringing.
Oh, you got an invite.
I got an invite.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was part of the first wave. Thank you. You as well. And
well, I'm a +1, but I'm very happy to be a +1.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who are you going with?
A gentleman called Ty from Tennessee, and so
awesome.
I was starting, please, is there anybody who has a +1? And 2 seconds later, he DM'd me and said, "Yeah, I got one." I thought, "Is that true?" And he said, "Yeah, sure. Look at the email and whatever." And I put my name in, put my email in, and that was that.
That's
so
fantastic.
Yeah, Ty will have a big shout out once we're there together. I love it. And I mean, again, and he was like, "Oh, I love you," and I was like, "Good, I love you too now."
Yeah, I'm bringing Cindy with me. I think this will be the first time she'll see Gigafactory up and close in there, and I'm actually excited. I'm actually excited to go in there and see the factory a little bit more ramped. Hopefully I get some time to talk to some of the executives while we're there. I know last time during Investor Day, people were able to ask questions. I don't know if we'll have the time to do that today during the event, and just kind of soak it in. And I'm sure there will be afterwards, people will go to Rainy and hang out and chill. And the Tesla Club Austin might throw something, but yeah, I'm excited for the day. I'm curious to see what they'll talk about. I think JB Straubel getting added to the board is freaking awesome, and I'm so excited to see that. Oh my god, such an awesome move. And I'm curious to see how they're going to be received. I think it's going to be quite positive, but I'm curious to see what kind of questions get thrown out there to the leadership team, because I know
and you will see. I mean, you will see the thing is a couple of votes need a supermajority 66.6. So that is a tough high bar, just because there's so many international investors who can't vote. And then when the institutionals, they now have more than the retail investors leagued together, they have easily the 33% on the other side. So that's what happened last year, right? We had a couple of points where Tesla didn't have the outcome they'd wished for. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I'm just so excited to go. So you think the whole activity of Tesla in Austin and whatever will be limited to the Tuesday, right? Nothing will happen on the Monday night or the Wednesday morning. It's not as big as Investor Day, right? There's not so much organization.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they might do. I mean, Austin is becoming sort of like the home base for Tesla events. So there usually is something like the night before, but it's like I don't think there's anything like super. I haven't heard anything, but they're generally small, and it's more like I think it's a lot of Tesla folks flying in the night before, and then they'll go down to Rainy, and we'll go hang out at a bar and chat. And then, we'll try not to get too hungover so that we can actually understand what they're saying the next day, That's usually how they've gone for the last.
And then it's from 11 to 5. So people will be, 6 hours in the factory and listening to all that, which probably will be much more than the 6 hours is obviously enough. And there may be people already traveling back on the Tuesday evening, right? I mean, I'm staying to Wednesday morning, but
yeah, I would expect there's something. I'm expecting after the Investor Day is done, folks will go to Rainy, and I mean Clive is kind of becoming sort of this home base for post Tesla events anyway, and I would imagine. So what I'll do, I mean, I'm probably going to go there anyway afterwards, and if anybody's in town that wants to meet up, I'll be like, yo, I'll be at Clive from X to X, come hang out. We'll go have a drink and chill and like do a little meeting. So I might just do that anyway. But if I hear anything from the Austin Owners Club, I'll let you know if there's any events going on. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm not as if I'm, search for whatever. I'm very happy if there's but I think, if something's happening, it would be great that everybody knows about it.
Yeah, for sure. The last time the Investor Day one when we had the panels when Sandy came up with you.
Oh my gosh, with his beard.
My God.
We handled it. We handled it well.
Fantastic. That was so legendary. because you could tell the crowd was a little like everybody was kind of like, man, that was so long and so technical, and it was hot and it was humid, and there was construction right next door, and everybody's like, oh, we were expecting the compact car, it wasn't shown. And then, I know Herbert, like they were kind of discussing, and then Sandy shows up. And then from that point forward, it was a party.
I don't know whether you've seen my tweet this week, but Corey and Sandy went about 10 days ago to Berlin to visit Giga Brandenburg, and which is funny. I don't know why I say Brandenburg in American. I can see it in German, Brandenburg. Okay, that's that. But on at the airport before flying, he was obviously tired, so he fell asleep in a chair with an empty glass of beer next to him. So I was like, "Do I see a glass of beer?" And Corey was like, "What?"
That's awesome. I love those guys. I had Corey. My God, Corey is such a wealth of knowledge. It's like incredible. He's so smart. He's so smart. Yeah. They invited me to go on their channel next week. So you know how they started this Monroe podcast? Yeah.
Yes.
And like part of me is like, why do you want me? I don't even know what I'm going to add, but of course I'm going to say yes. You guys are awesome. I'd love to go there and talk with you.
Did you see that thing? I mean, I don't even know what you call it from Lucid, right? Oh my gosh! I was like, I could stare at that for hours. I just love how it turned. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
there you go.
I think what Lucid does really well is like they actually have really awesome technical feats. Yeah. Like super cool technical feats from a hardware perspective, but it's obvious that they can't make any money and they don't have enough demand, and they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
I mean, Santa Barbara is obviously a rich town. I'm seeing Teslas left and right and overs. Michelle pretends he sees a Tesla every 15 seconds when he's out there. I think he's a bit over enthusiastic, but let's do it. But over 18 months, we have seen 3 Lucids. Over 18 months, we've seen 3 Lucids, right? If there is a clientele old enough, rich enough for Lucids, it's here, right? And there's just nothing around. And I mean, every quarter they don't sell 40% of their cars. It's a disaster. I feel for them because I mean, I want a luxury brand. The more EVs we have, better it is. May as well be Lucid. Don't like the guy at all, but it doesn't matter. But that thing was impressive. I felt like a Rubik's Cube, right? Like, oh my gosh, give it to me.
Yeah. I think I was of the standpoint that they'll have enough demand and they'll just have a tough time getting profitable, and then the Saudis will just throw money at the problem until they figure it out. But I just feel like they just don't have enough demand. Especially now. It just feels like, I don't know. The problem with Lucid is that the charging infrastructure is not premium. That's the biggest problem.
Exactly. You go to the same old Electrify America stands than the Bolts and the rest of the world. Yeah.
You go to a Walmart to charge your $135,000 car. That's the last place. Like you think about the Lucid buyer, and this is not good or bad. The Lucid buyer bought the car because it's a gorgeous, high-tech thing that speaks to them in a way that they're like, I feel good owning this product. And then when you are outside going to a place, you have to stop at a Walmart. Are you kidding me? That's a huge problem.
And not for 10 minutes, because until you have your 500 miles back, you're going to stay a while. There's no doubt about it.
It's anything but luxurious, but
it is.
Anyway, we're almost an hour in. Do you want to keep going, or you want to call it here?
No, we're done. No, I have to eat my 1 meal a day here. I'm starving again.
That's right. Let's not forget, Elon Musk is on Bill Maher today.
Yes.
What time? 7 Central? Or 7 Pacific?
No, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern.
Okay. So 9 Central. So I can't wait to see what he says. He's probably going to be there for like the first 10 minutes. Bill Maher usually does a monologue, and then he has a guest, and then he has a panel. So I think
exactly. And we may have missed the subscriber stream from a space from Elon on Starship, right?
Let me see if he said anything. On Bill Maher's show tonight, and then I didn't see anything for
See? At least we did ours. Oh, did we miss it?
No.
Good.
I said we'll do a space review on Flight 1 for subscribers only on Friday, and then I sent him a Friday GIF to like remind them that it's Friday. And everybody is like, it's Friday, buddy. What are you doing? I love the shit talking that happens in his subscription feed.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too. They really go.
They treat him like a regular guy. They're like, hey, buddy, come on, let's go. You said Friday. What are you doing?
That's what he wants. That's what he gets, right? Yeah. You want your $4, you're going to pay for them.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Let's call it. Thank you so much.
Weekend.
Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
We'll see you. I love you too. Bye-bye, everybody.